It's a new day, which means it's a new corruption scandal coming out of Trump and his appointees. This one has to do with Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice. I mean, we have known all along that Trump and DOJ and Elon Musk and all the rest of them talk about rooting out fraud actually meant cutting benefits for people who need it. Well, here in this case, the Department of Justice whole point is to go after fraudsters. But it appears that if you are represented by Attorney General Pam Bondi's brother, Brad Bondi, you may get a get-out-of-free-jail card. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. So reporting is showing that 2 clients of Brad Bondi have had their charges either dismissed or withdrawn by the Department of Justice for no apparent reason, meaning nothing that really seemed valid based on the case, but for perhaps the fact that their attorney is related to the Attorney General Pam Bondi. And a third person who was represented by Brad Bondi was actually pardoned by Trump. So let's get into this, and then we can delve into what this means for her as a lawyer, considering we have such things as professional code of ethics. But one of the people whose charges that were withdrawn was the real estate developer, Sid Shakarvidi. He had wire fraud charges against him in Missouri, and the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri, Thomas Albus, filed papers asking the judge to dismiss the indictment. Now, he was charged under the Biden administration in 2024 for lying about hiring minority staff in order to obtain tax deals, which means he was cheating the federal government. He was getting money, tax benefits that he didn't deserve. He was essentially committing fraud against the government. This person had the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District go as far as ask a judge to dismiss that indictment. Let me tell you, this is not something most people get. This is not a benefit most people get. So you can conclude whether or not it was because of his attorney. Basically, what he tried to argue in court, the district attorney who asked for that dismissal, was that because the defendants have, quote, agreed to make restitution of the taxes, that it was prudent for the government to end the criminal prosecution. So essentially, because he paid back the taxes that he stole from the government, he didn't have any other consequence. That is pretty much the most sweetheart deal anybody could ever ask for. To give back what you stole with zero other consequence is the easiest consequence to have. And it's pretty much the consequence nobody ever gets because there is no deterrent. If all you had to do was pay that back, there's no deterrent, and pretty much anybody would do it. But what is even more telling in that is that he was guilty. Because if they didn't have the facts and evidence that he stole the money, he wouldn't have to pay back the money. So by asking for this dismissal, they aren't saying we found new evidence that in fact he didn't do what he did. We wrongly prosecuted him. But only that the punishment should be something as easy as paying the government back. But that's just one example. There is the other example down in Florida, which, as we know, Attorney General Pam Bondi used to be the Attorney General of Florida. And let's not forget, when she was the Attorney General in Florida, she was the one who decided to withdraw Florida from the fraud lawsuit against Trump University. The other states that remain in the case were able to get millions of dollars in reward, but she withdrew Florida after Trump and Ivanka both donating not only to her campaign, but to Republican groups who helped re-elect her. So this is not new corruption for Pam Bondi. Either way, so this is the person in Florida. Florida dropped charges against Brad Bondi's other client. This one is Carolina Amnesty. She was also accused by the Biden Justice Department for 2 counts of stealing from the government property related to COVID relief fraud. And if she was found guilty, she would face 20 years in prison. But mysteriously, again, they dropped her charges. This was within a month. Brad Bondi had 2 clients get their charges dropped by Pam Bondi's DOJ. And then Trump also pardoned somebody called Trevor Milton, who was, again, Brad Bondi's client. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison for lying about his electric vehicle technology. Again, lying, fraud. These are the kind of people that I thought Elon Musk and Trump were trying to root out, people stealing from the government. Well, not so much if you are somebody who's friends with Trump or Pam Bondi. Either way, Trump gave him a pardon back in March. So this apparent corruption, this apparent conflict of interest is a problem, of course, not just for the Department of Justice, the career attorneys that work at the Department of Justice and are trying to still do good work, and they see their boss doing things like dismissing and withdrawing charges from people who have cases against them that seem valid, how hard that is for them to still do their jobs. But also for Pam Bondi herself, we have a thing called a conflict of interest, and you cannot have a conflict of interest. She is representing the United States government as the lead lawyer. And it doesn't seem as if she has put anything in place to secure the fact that these prosecutors are not dismissing cases related to her brother in a way because they are afraid of any kind of wrath or loyalty pledge that Pam Bondi may seek against them. Because as we know, Trump and his cohorts are very punitive. She doesn't seem to have put anything in place to make it very clear that anything involving her brother, there shouldn't be any decision that she cannot affect the decision, or people could not be influenced by wanting to curry her favor. That is the minimum she should do as Attorney General, but also for her as a lawyer and for her as a member of the bar. You are supposed to convey trust and reliability, and this just conveys corruption. No matter who you are and your friend, and that you're going to get a different application of the law in our justice system. And let's remember, Doug Emhoff, a lawyer in his own right, was at a law firm. He had to leave the law firm when he became the second gentleman and had to teach instead. And that surely was not great for his career, not great for his finances. But if he had stayed at the law firm, the amount of conflict of interest issues that would have created for his wife, Kamala Harris, for his law firm, for himself. Sometimes when you are related to somebody in the public eye or in a public position, you can't continue to do the things that you need to do. So either Pam Bondi should have had something in place to make it very clear that she was not going to be involved or have any retribution about how cases of her brothers was going to be handled, and or Brad Bondi shouldn't be able to still defend people who are going to be in front of the DOJ that his sister heads. Either way, this is just yet another example of corruption, how to grift from the system, and how people, everyday people who are trying to live their lives, should have equal access to the law. And cases like this make us think there is not. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Be sure to free subscribe if you haven't already so you can get all the updates on this and many other stories to come.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.